diversity of the adaptation to natural conditions but as a means of way of life to deriving the livelihood. And at the same time, there is a different states of scale. Every community has a traditional classifications of the resource system. Uh, Traditional classification of soil, water, forest. Because every language you verify, there are specific word in that language defining a different type of these resources. So all these are the reflections how the our traditional systems is there. So from that perspective, it will be a blunder if we impose a particular framework on everyone. There should be a different approach, and every local context, uh, it will be decided by the local community how they want to go about. And that's why the community empowerment from the present perspective is very much important. Next, please. Now, there is a possibility if we focus on the regenerative development, developing the principles of the bioeconomy, cultural economy, adopting the concept of the circular economy, there is a possibility we can create a new synthesis. And connect the nature and culture very much it is embedded. We have to bring up that in a different perspective. Involving the traditional customary institutions is very much important. Because we have around 90% of our geographical area in the rural. And out of these, around 70% of the rural area basically inhabited by different ecosystem people. The ecosystem people are the people who basically depend on the ecosystem they have for their way of life. In such context, actually, the understanding of the all these processes are very much important without disturbing their whole way of life process. But how that can be matched with the present context. Now, in this context, the customary institutions we have, like Kamili Gatau among the Boros, like the Rongasar Ame among the Karabis, every tribal community has their own customary institution. And there is a conflict happening in our context. There is a government appointed village, there is a customary village. Ultimately, at the grassroots level, there is a conflict of the institutions. We have to remove that. Customary institutions should play a role in the whole process, which is an important need of this hour. And similarly, traditional knowledge and skills are very much important and appropriate technology. We are not talking about the technology. It's an appropriate technology which is actually designed, evolved with the community participation and to fulfill the local needs are very much important. And it must be grounded with the frugality. Frugality is a new approach now it is coming up again to understand how people solving their own problem at the local context, applying their scientific understanding. Even if you review the dog practices we now have in BTR region, there are lots of scientific principles uh, adopted. And this is a frugality to overcome the constraint farmer face in the farmer zone to retain the surface water. And there's a new system evolved which is age old. So all these need to be considered in a new framework of the livelihood. Okay? So important areas, forest and agroforestry is one of the important areas. Already we have a sufficient forest, but the agroforestry, uh, as a whole, Northeast represents around 24% of its area into agroforestry, usually what we call as our home state. Bari, BTR, all the districts together represents 23.3% of the total area, which is represented by this body, which is nothing but the agroforestry. In Assam, it is of 21%. So this is a very important potential assets and knowledge about these systems is very much there among the community. We need to improvise it from the different perspectives because at present American dominated systems is there. Now that how that can be carved into more diversity, more other combinations of local endemic species. These are the very much important things. Then the field cropping, as a whole, around 38% of the total area of Northeast belongs to the field crop area. BTR itself has around 40% of the area belongs to this field cropping area. But out of this 40%, around 10% of each area belongs to Bhabar zone along the Indo-Bhutan border areas where the surface water retention capacity is very much limited. So there is a need of the water management in such areas so that the surface water crisis should not be there for the agriculture. Then the fishery is another factor which can be. Important thing is insect farming. Not only the honeybee I'm talking about. If we look into it, more than 12 different common insects all over Northeast is a food item for the different tribes. And traditionally, there are some kind of domestication processes there. For example, the hornet farming is very common among the Nagas. The question is that at this moment, insects are considered as one of the important alternative animal protein source all over the world, and which is considered as a more climate smart farming system than the other animal farming system. So in these situations, actually, we have to give more emphasis on how domestication of a certain farm, these insects can be possible. You cannot imagine uh, always during the Bohag Bihu time, the red and egg goes to Guwahati market from the most of the villages of Vijaya. And per kg rupees is 20 to 24,000. Because during this Bihu time, there are many communities, they have a ritual, they have to take uh, red and egg. That is a ritual. Now question is that all these red and egg are not farm products. This is collected from the different wild sources. We don't know because of large scale collection what will happen to the local ecosystem. Instead of that, there is a possibility to think for the red and farming. If someone sells, you will get a tela oil in Amazon, which is the oil extracted from the ant egg. Yeah. So that's where there are lots of possibilities. Then the sericulture is another area, handloom and handicraft, then the eco-culture tourism. Next year. Now, here are both important things is focus on soil and water management, liberty from the indigenous microorganisms. We are talking about natural farming, organic farming. For the farm inputs, actually there are little bit of research or orientation to the community how the indigenous microorganisms can be tapped and applied in the farming. Then the fortified composting, we are talking about the composting, but the how fortified, if a particular area has a deficiency of the phosphorus, then how the composting with the phosphorus element can improve, there are possibilities to look after. Then the nature waste management system still in traditional practices that need to be developed more. Then the frugal approach in all the aspects. Now, another important thing is the documentation of local seed, its characterization and seed bank development. Because there are lots of diversity of seeds all over Northeast. We have experienced only one Dimasa village, we have documented 139 varieties of seeds, out of which there are millet varieties of seeds. Similarly, among the 10 villages, we have documented 340 different varieties of seed. Everywhere it is there. Uh, then developing the seed farmer, which is very important from the perspective of the local seed and the seed villages. That promotion of seed exchange program among the community, it is very much rare. There is a public initiative which is called Slow Food Movement in Meghalaya, where this is promoted. Next, please. Then, for the perspective of handloom and handicraft, one important thing is natural fiber extraction, processing, and application. Most of the handloom, what we are practicing, you will verify, it is dominated by acrylic. And other thing will be either the woolen or synthetic fiber. So apart from the silk, both AD and Boga, there are lots of like the Rosella, the Massatega, the stem, the bark can from the bark fiber can be extracted. There are experiments and standard approach. From okra fiber can be extracted. The pineapple and bamboo, banana fibers all are very much established technology. How that can be lead? Then the standardization of natural dyeing. Natural dyeing is a very common practice, but as because it is a direct boiling process, the how we can come to the standard product either in the form of powder or in the form of the concentrated liquid, so that always the dyeing will be in uniform process. That kind of research is required for promotion of and standardization of this product. Then improving tools and gear in handloom and handicraft is the important thing. But interestingly, for the handloom, we do not have a market information system properly. In the market information systems, it is not there. So what design is means what. As a result of which, what happened? We are using different product unethically. Next. So there are other different aspects like the developing protocol for the non-cultivated different kind of herbs and vegetables because we are depend on the many non-cultivated things like the Boro Onthai Baza, one of these species. Never cultivated, but Onthai Baza has a lots of potential. If your Onthai Baza can be developed for a herbal tea, we have experimented that lots of potentialities is there like the other herbal tea. So that kind of experimentation is required when we go for the developing the protocol of cultivation of those wild plants. And similarly, the other things, particularly in the eco-cultural tourism, there is a need of developing a framework. Otherwise, many a time tourism destroy the social perspective of the particular places if there is no strict framework for the tourism. So these are some of the important areas. I am not going to more detail next. So basically, understanding of the local context from the demography, society, culture, geoecology, and the practices at this moment, and perception of people about the resource and livelihood, these are the very important things to make a plan to go ahead. Next, please. So, let us think for there is a need to create a dialogue and thought process to develop Northeast as a special natural economic zone, not a common economic zone. And then only we can bring a new economic perspective from the different way which is deviate from the common practices we have from the capitalist framework. For all these purposes, actually, we need the education like the science and technology literacy, eco-literacy, resource literacy, cultural heritage literacy, and the entrepreneurial education, which it cannot be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sarman, for that very exhaustive overview of things in the Northeast. I now call upon Sri Jitendu Sarkar, a very senior administrator from the government of West Bengal, uh, who has been working with livelihood in the NREGA program, and he would speak on his reflections on improving livelihood through asset building and linking it with production. Mr. Sarkar, please.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. Uh, Talking last is always fraught with challenges. First challenge is whatever I have to talk, maybe have already been spoken. It can be time is short. It's always. And see, you are a little bit bored because of all these talks and all that. But I must say that I am not an academician. I am a practitioner. For 35 plus years, I was in the civil service. I retired as secretary in a government department, the government of West Bengal. And the last 2 years, post-retirement, I continue to be a practitioner. So whatever I will be presenting will be presented from a practitioner's perspective. Can you take that presentation? Okay, till that presentation comes, what I was listening to all the previous talks, and when Professor Mukhopadhyay was talking, he has given inputs for the issues that I would try to address. He talked about water and livelihood, the kind of synchronization that is required. And the project that I will be talking about is mostly about water, irrigation water, and how that is helping in livelihood. The second issue that he has talked about is desertification and loss of livelihood, climate change and loss of livelihood. All these elements are there in the project that we implemented in the western part of West Bengal. He talked about the impact on the marginalized people, and here the marginalized women belonging to self-help groups, we call them DDs. So those DDs are at the helm of affairs. So participation of the marginalized is there. Big dams washing out that he spoke of. Those here also we try to rejuvenate 7 rivers. But this rejuvenation is not through building dams. Maybe certain check dams were built, but it is mostly through kind of getting pits and then certain barns and some plantation. Very small pits. We call it hapa, a particular kind of pit. This is a farm pond. So, and even lesser in size. So all those things are there. It's not dams as such. Dialogue between the formally educated and those who are at the margin of so-called formal education. That dialogue was very much there in our project. And the flora and fauna. What I'm saying is that, what I'm trying to say is that whatever Professor Mukhopadhyay's talk are very much part of what we try to do. So I'll present that practitioner's perspective. Go to the next slide. First slide, brother. Yes, I happen to kind of lead NREGA, National Rural Employment Guarantee Act and the scheme in West Bengal for more than 7 years. As a commissioner there. Commissioner, secretary, different capacities, I led that particular program. What we found is that NREGA has got 3 different kind of objectives, 3 major objectives. One is employment guarantee, 100 days employment guarantee to a household in a year. Then sustainable asset creation in the process, sustainable assets are supposed to be created. And then strengthening local self-governments, panchayats or councils, that kind of. So this is basically there. Go to the next slide. What I found that in a business as usual scenario in which we, the government officials, usually implement program, there are several challenges. What are the challenges? Demand-driven program. NREGA is supposed to be touted as that a demand-driven program. These have been converted into a supply-driven program everywhere. everywhere this is converted into supply chain program. There is little focus on asset creation, except roads and buildings. Schemes are implemented in dispersed geographies and then thinly distributed benefits. So these are the challenges that we face in a business as usual scenario in which we also used to implement the program. So go to the next slide. Yes. There is supposed to be a continuum between employment, livelihood, farm-based livelihood, and skilling. All these have been talked about. But usually, we in the government work again in silos, in compartments. So these are the four compartments which we used to uh, implement, but from different uh, verticals of the government. Go to the next one. So, through NREGA, our initial quest whether it can be converged. So, NREGA being the prime mover because there are huge financial resources, unlimited financial resources. West Bengal used to spend around 7,000 to 8,000 crore rupees in a year for implementation of the program. So, it being the prime mover, can NRLM be converged? Can fisheries be converged? Yet animal resource development, then agri horticulture, and certainly the social yojana, so the skilling part. So all these convergence were in our priority. So we started with that. But even then, what we found, go to the next slide. Okay, this is the convergence landscape. I am not detailing that. Almost all departments of the government which deal with development, we tried to build convergence with NRDGA there. So NRDGA being the prime mover wanted to have convergence with different programs. There were 22 different verticals of the government with which we tried to converge. But then again, go to the next slide. Yes. There are several development actors. Government is positively there, the prime mover, again, the primary actor, because a lot of resources are there. Then there are the civil society organizations. And finally, there are the community-based organizations. But again, these organizations are working separately within the same geography, within the same ecosystem, and there are limitations and things which could have been achieved was not being achieved. So, go to the next one. Yeah. What we try to do is that can those forces be brought together? Can there be an interconnected ecosystem in which the government will seek support from the CSOs and the government and CSO together will be handholding the CBOs. So that kind of an ecosystem that we are talking of. Let's go to the next. Why this ecosystem is important? Go next. Yeah. Because government has mandate, government has fund, government has a layer structure, government has human resources. What the CSOs have? The CSOs have very good subject specialization and they have very good outreach in the community. And the community-based organizations, they are part of the community. So community ownership is very much there, community engagement is there, and gender focus is also very strong. Because here we work mostly with the self-help group of women and their federations, the clusters, federations, and all those. So this is space sharing thing. Go to the next one. Here we started a discussion with the Bharat Rural Livelihood Foundation (BRLF). Our major partner, we had an MOU signed with Bharat Rural Livelihood Foundation. Incidentally, Bharat BRLF has signed an MOU with the Borderland Territorial Administration over here to work in a convergent mode, to work together for improvement in the livelihood landscape over here. And naturally, natural resource management is part of it. So this Borderland Territorial Administration and BRLF, the kind of partnership which is now being built over here, we built it 5 years back, almost 5 years back in West Bengal. 2017, it is more than 5 years. So 2017, we built that partnership. What came as a partnership? Go to the next one. Yeah. So Before going for the partnership, I would like to talk a little bit about the ecosystem. Go to the next one. Yeah. Basically, as I said, my concern, our concern in the government was that we implement schemes in a dispersed mode. In Kushal Mukti, a particular project which was launched in the western part of the state, it was from that dispersed scheme to an en bloc implementation. The focus from wage to assets. The focus from wage earners to creators and owners of assets. The community themselves were the creators of assets and they were the owners of the assets. And they were more gender focused. The SHG women were at the driving seat. So these are the four areas that we were trying to change in the paradigm. So this is the paradigm shift in the program that we had. Okay. This was implemented in 6 districts, 55 blocks, 1 gram concept, 2,000 plus watersheds, 10,000 plus voters, and 80 plus hectares of land. It's a huge kind of an area where we implemented this concerted program of Ushal Mukti. This is not a program as such, this is an approach. So we followed this approach, implemented by following this approach, energy. So that you see that's the uniqueness of this program. What is the next one? This is the geographical spread in terms of a map. So there are 6 districts, and there are, go to the next one. Yes. There are 7 civil society organizations, all facilitated by the BRSF. The entire funding for the CSOs, all their activities, their human resources, those came from the BRSF. These 7 civil society organizations are not naming each individually because that will take time. But on the other side was the government. The government of West Bengal at the state level, the district administration, block and gram level. So this is the partnership map. And in that partnership map, go to the next slide. The approach was, it will be watershed focused. Here it may not be watershed focused in Bodoland, but at the same time, it will be natural resource focused and keeping in mind the problem of draining out of water, runoff of water. So here, there also, runoff of water was our major concern, but the approach was a little bit different because of the topography. So watershed focus involving CSOs as partners, capacity building of functions, a lot of capacity building exercises were taken up and facilitated by PRS and the NGO teams. Community facilitators were identified, trained, and placed into service. They prepared detailed project report, complete DPR for each and every individual watershed. 2,000 plus watersheds. For each watershed, we have a document, a detailed project report. What can be done in the next 4 years? And the approach was starting from the ridge line, we gradually came down to the valley. So the approach is known as in any watershed development program, this is the ridge to valley approach. Because the ridge line, from the ridge line itself, this runoff takes place. So to arrest runoff at a ridge line itself or immediately thereafter, mid upland, mid lowland, and then finally going up to the lowland. So that kind of an aspect was there. And we also issued a dictum from the state government to the panchayats and the local level functionaries that 70% of the work in energy will have to be implemented from these DPS which have been prepared with support from the NGO consortia. So that was also there. And we added non-farm IBS, individual benefit scheme is one of the major areas in energy. So non-farm IBS as a livelihood option. We don't have time, so I will not speak very detailed about all these things. Go to the next slide. I'm just going to yes. These are the 4 areas that we take: land, water, vegetation, and non-farm livelihood. These are the areas of intervention. Go to the next one. As I was saying, no large dams. Because digging at T40 model, the entire every chunk of land was distributed, divided into 30 feet by 40 feet kind of patches. And in each patch, at a lower end of the pan, a very small kind of pit was dug. So that is 30-40 model. The contour trenches are built. Small farm ponds, which is known as 5% model. 5% means 5% of our land chunk is used for digging of a farm pond. Very small. We usually call that when in a very dry season, that can give you a life-saving irrigation. So that kind of a thing is there. Then population tank, irrigation canal, arsen dam, recharge, all these are digging related. Then barn, contour bundling, field bundling, garden plugging, Roksha barn, vetiver grasses to retain soil together. So all these are bundling interventions. Then plantation interventions, forest plant, food plant, and vegetative fencing was there. In livelihood, we concentrated on goat shelter, poultry shed, piggery shed, vermicompost, which are very common in energy. So these are all approved activities. So we did all those activities. Go to the next one. We also had a very concrete role clarity for the government part, and the CISO part was positively there, and that was also very usefully articulated in several rounds of meetings, discussion sessions, and also in writing. So, what the state will be doing is guidelines, partnership, and periodic monitoring. So, the district will go to this organize sensitization capacity workshop, liaise with do liaison with the CSOs and everybody do and monitoring. Job is coordinate between the GP and the CSO, and the GP will finally with the support from the CSO, the NGO. They will prepare the DPR, they mobilize the SHG and the community, identify and nurture the Dharashikas, the local volunteers. So that was the role clarity that we did. Okay, go to the next one. Yes, I'm close to it. This is the kind of physical achievement that we could get. 2053 watershed DPS were prepared. 81,000 plus schemes were implemented from out of this DPS only. 98,000 hectares of land treated in the past 4 years of the program. 1,095 crore of rupees was spent out of NREGA for implementation of this program, and more than 6 crore person days, as people usually call man days. I call person days because women are very much part of it. So 6.2 crore person days were generated. So that's the kind of a huge thing that we could do. Go to the next one. If we talk about the impact, first of all, the geo-NGO collaborative approach was very important. That could be established there. In a further program, which is kind of very well coordinated by the Honorable Chief Minister herself, called Mati CSP, and also in kind of watershed management, water management program also, one by IWMP, Integrated Water Management Program. So that was also took this kind of principle, and the programs are implemented by taking support. Capacity building was very much important, and a substantial number of rural leads were capacitated, apart from the government and panchayat function. Robust system of data management could be developed. Here also BRLS supported, and some other organizations also supported. The CSOs were there. Fallow upland and plantation and soil conservation we could bring. If you go to Purulia, if you go to Bakuda, had you gone there say 10-15 years back, you might have seen barren hillocks. But now these barren hillocks have again been turned green. So that is the result that we achieved. And this has been appreciated across the country. From different states, people went there, they have seen, Government of India people took other states there, they have seen, and they have started implementing. In fact, BRLF was taken as partner by, say, Chhattisgarh government, by the government of Jharkhand, and now the Bodoland, Odisha, and then Maharashtra. So all these are based on the lessons that could be learned from Ushur. So that was a very important kind of thing. Mega watershed project in say Chhattisgarh or Jharkhand or the livelihood related, agriculture related intervention in Odisha. All these things emanated from this. So these are all things. Last slide. Yeah. We also in the process ensure that there is changes in the system. We talk in terms of system change. The structure, there are changes in the policies, changes in practice, changes in resource allocation. So all these system changes happen in relationship and connections were being. Yes, the CSO, government, CBO. So that kind of a relationship was very important. The power dynamics in the area changed. It is mostly the political representatives in the panchayat who are at the helm of affairs, who are the decision makers. But after implementation of Ushan Mukti, it is the rural women, the self-help group women who came to the fore and say they became farmers, women farmers. We have, I say, several farmers producers societies, farmers producers cooperatives, which are absolutely run, managed by the rural women themselves. In one particular area, they are doing kind of indigenous paddy cultivation, close to 5,000 women farmers. And they are selling their indigenous paddy, Kerala Sundari, then some varieties of brown rice to different other states as well. So that's a measure. And in the transformational arena, the mental models of accepting the CSOs by the government, by the panchayat, and accepting the women as a lead, so that change. And finally, capacity enhancement that also helped in transformation. Go to the last slide. Yes. Thank you very much. This is our experience. I'm open to questions, certainly, but I would again leave it to the moderator, chairperson, to take it further. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shankar, for that very invigorating talk. It's not every other day that the practitioner says that what the academic had said is also correct. So thank you very much for endorsing what I had to say in the beginning. One of the things that I think those of you who have been listening to us very carefully will have noticed is that the idea of making things composite has come up. Composite in the sense of having a gender balance, of making women in the village or in the rural areas the linchpin of transformative livelihood. In fact, actually, to be honest, we are actually now formally recognizing the and the productivity that women have traditionally given to the livelihood components. The second thing that has come together is to go back to some kind of indigeneity in knowledge systems. Not because we want to go back and say we were great. I don't believe in that indigeneity. But not tradition for the sake of tradition. But to say, I think that's not the yeah. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Please do not tinker with it anymore. Thank you. Yeah. So you're saying that indigeneity not for the sake of indigeneity, but indigeneity is celebrating knowledge that has been with us for centuries. You see, when something stays with you for centuries and you get a reward, you get an outcome out of it, you have to ask this question as to what makes it tick. Why is it that it is there? and therefore, you don't dismiss it. And we have come to that kind of a circle where we are now not dismissing indigenous knowledge. Dr. Sharma was talking about how natural science and resource management enhances livelihood possibility, which takes me back to the understanding that we as scholars, and I hope that Bodoland University keeps on creating scholars who are interested in this, we as scholars must move our focus from saying science, humanities, arts, commerce, to a more intersectional and more multidisciplinary ways of looking at things. In my university, we are starting now a small center called the Interdisciplinary Study of Society and Science. And I think IIT Guwahati has already done that. We have tried to collaborate and see if we can produce degrees, including PhDs, where multidisciplinarity becomes the kind of rule standard rather than the exception. And this is what all panelists were trying to say to us. That livelihood is a matter of the integration of a range of knowledge systems. And I'm very happy that the Professor pointed out diversity of the Northeast. The fact that we have different food cultures, the fact that we have different food cultures means that we have different ways of producing food, which means we have different ways of producing knowledge. And unless we had different ways of producing knowledge, we wouldn't have produced food. I'm quite sure that the Sripad would be agreeing with me when we say that the Konkani fishermen and women, not fishermen, women don't go to sea, who go to the high sea, and also in my area in Delta Sundarban for 7 to 15 days at a time for the voyage. I mean, they just navigate. You go on that small boat, and you see only a compass. The most modern thing that the pilot has is a compass. And when you look at the fishing trawlers of Western Europe, North America, and Japan, then you will see that they are as sophisticated perhaps as the Coast Guard. What makes them go out to the sea, survive for 15 days, come back with a catch? And that's knowledge. So you can do that knowledge. You can enhance that knowledge. You can find out that there are problems with that knowledge, but you cannot be dismissive of it. And therefore, I think the livelihood question has to be a holistic approach. And we have exactly 5 minutes. We are running late by an hour, so we stop exactly in an hour. If you have very pressing questions, and not commentaries, but questions to any of the panelists, you can make it a quick question and ask the panelist by name so that he knows, what the question is, what is the question. So, anyone would like to have a question for the panelists? And that includes me as well. So I will be very happy to answer that question. Because the whole idea of having this discussion is that we need people on the top when we have a dialogue, right? So,
Sir,
yes,
from BKIF perspective, as
yes, question to
yes, advanced studies well versed with the tradition. What do you think? What can we do more, like to improvise?
please come to the mic.
As I have found, BTR is quite similar to our Jalpaiguri and Alipurduar topographically. And the major problem is the Bhutan Hills. So water comes down from Bhutan Hills and takes some soft soil as well. And ultimately, when a runoff occurs, it's not just runoff of water, but it is kind of loss of topsoil for the lower part. In Bengali, I used to call jol chut or mati chut. So listen, জল যেমন যাচ্ছে আমি জানি এখানে বেশিরভাগ যদি বাংলা বোঝে সেজন্য আমি এই কথাটা বললাম জল যেমন চলে যাচ্ছে তার সঙ্গে মাটিও যাচ্ছে জল চুট মাটি চুট এটা আমার কয়েনেস ছিল ঊষর মুক্তির কথা বলতে So it's like that only. So what is the difference? There we kind of walk from reach to head. Here it's difficult because the reach belongs to Bhutan, another country. So you cannot stream there. Maybe at some point of time there would be coordination, development coordination between these two countries, and then they would be kind of would be working together to ensure that there is treatment at the reach lines as well. But that's difficult. Right now it's not possible. So in that case, what we need to do is that we need to arrest at least some of the run of water in the in terms of diversion channels and in terms of a little bit of larger water bodies where at least water can be kept, and also as I said, the kind of these funding activities and small pit related activities also is possible. At least those are a little bit of middle upland or middle of lowland area. There, this watershed-based treatment, maybe we are not being able to kind of treat the reach, but the next two lower levels, probably some kind of a treatment is possible. So the major thrust would be on water management, retention of water, and using that water harvesting, using that water for cultivation. Because their cultivation is a very kind of monocrop in most of the cases. So these have to be transformed into multi-crop. Maybe the focus will be on vegetable cultivation and all. There are all different other livelihood things areas, but I am not talking right now. Okay? Answering your question only. So the pressing question, the pressing issue is water management. Thank you.
Any more questions? Then we will this session and say thank you very much. That's yours.
So this was a lovely session, isn't it? So all the speakers, from their background, from their perspective, they put on what they could for helping us in this livelihood field and livelihood arena. Uh, I would like to thank Professor Surjit Mukhopadhyay sir, Dr. Sripato Ananta sir from Neo, Goa, and Dr. Joyanta Sharma from Aranya, and Sri Divya Sarkar sir from West Bengal. Uh, I mean, I find the conclusion or the development of this discussion completely aligning with the objective of holding this international knowledge festival. So the important objective of holding this international knowledge festival was to bring or align together the national, international, regional, rural perspective together, and to discuss and to improvise onto the concept. I just want to add one point to Sri Divyendu Sarkar sir about when he was mentioning about water harvesting. So recently we started one kind of related to water harvesting is fog harvesting. So there, it is very simple. Like there is a steel mesh, and you identify the way of the the passage of fog, and you put this steel mesh on the way. So this fog, what they will do, they will get obstructed with the steel mesh, and the water will goes down, and there are certain countries where they're harvesting a lot fog, from fog. So these kind of small things would help us in expanding our horizon, and to improvise in the whatever capacity we have been doing livelihood in BTR and adjoining areas. And we also would like to request speakers that So yeah, in future we take the help and expertise of all the speakers, all the resource persons here, so that we being little selfish here. We want to take your help so that we can help each other in that way. So this makes me to come to the end of this session. So thank you again to all the speakers and to the viewers. So this is the end of this panel discussion. So then we're going to start the next session, that is special interactive session. And I think I've seen all the resource persons here. Thank you for this session. Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you.